Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. This is Dr. Blakeney, and today I am in central eastern Montana at the site of the Battle of Little Bighorn, which had some major players from history, including Lieutenant Colonel Custer, which we might know from the Civil War, Crazy Horse, Sitting Bull, Reno Benton, and a host of others. Let's set the scene here a little bit. In 1851, some of the Native American tribes made an agreement a treaty that they would get a huge swath of land, and eventually by 1868 and then 1876, they were divided into two groups: those that decided to sign the treaty and non-treaty Native Americans. In 1874, there was a financial crisis in the United States, and as a result of that, a lot of young men went west looking for gold that had just been found in the Black Hills of what would become South Dakota. So the army, including Custer and some other people, are trying to eradicate, to get rid of, to make the Native American tribes, which included the Crow, the Lakota, the Arapaho, and the Cheyenne. They wanted them to go to reservations so they could be controlled, so they could settle the land. These were the non-treaty Native Americans that didn't want to do that. They wanted to live their land. This land here, the Lakota, were part of the Sioux Native American tribe, and they had been given basically what would become the western half of the state of South Dakota, which would become the state of South Dakota. And here, this land was unceded land that didn't belong to anybody. It was not decided yet. And to the west of us, near Bozeman and Missoula, Montana, that was Crow land. So all of these tribes coalesced here, and they had become a group of about 8,000 people, and they were just in the plains behind me. They had set up camp, and that camp was by the Little Bighorn River, which the Native Americans called greasy grass. So they were here, they were settled, and to the south of us, and I'll take my camera down, to the south of us where you see those big hills, that's where Custer's men, troops, the 7th Cavalry, which is still in existence today, that's where they came from. And Custer sent two groups, one led by a guy named Reno and another Benton, and they crossed the Little Bighorn River down here, and then they were coming up here. Well, at the same time, Custer went along this ridge line, and he went all the way here, and he went to where the cemetery is now. And his idea was that as Reno and Benton down there, as they attacked, the women and children were going to end up where you can see this train maybe down there. And so Custer was going to take them as enemy combatants, and he was going to use them in order to lure the warriors to go back to the reservation. Well, of course, this didn't work out very well. You can see they were going down this little ravine here, and they were repelled back. Each of those little white dots represents a place where they found a Native American, a soldier. And then finally, Custer and his men ended up at this last stand hill. So this is where Custer and everybody from his group ended up dying. Custer himself, he was shot in the chest, and then he had another bullet in his head. Some people think he might have committed suicide rather than be taken by the Native Americans, although nobody really knows. So what happened to Reno and Benton? Well, they were not successful in taking this land over here where the 8,000 people were. So they retreated back this way, and a couple days later, there were more troops were brought in, and they were able to bury these soldiers. So Reno, Benton, and about 350 of those soldiers ended up burying these soldiers down here. Since then, it has become a major monument, and here are this is called the Bighorn cemetery, which has a lot of other soldiers in it. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of the battle. I did forget to mention that we also had Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull, who were two of the major leaders from the tribes. Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, after this, they fled, and Sitting Bull eventually ended up in Canada. I think it was Sitting Bull, it might have been Crazy Horse, but I think it was Sitting Bull. Ended up in Canada, and then about 5 years later, he surrendered to the US government and was on a reservation, of which I believe he was killed or murdered a few years after that, which pretty much ended the Native American or the Sioux wars with the United States. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of what was happening here, and I look forward to seeing you in the classroom soon. Take care. Bye-bye.